over the weekend with some of the sites with the crazy snowstorm was the Polar Plunge.
Yeah.
I was kind of wondering, hey, is it going to take place? And if you saw...
Those people are crazy, man.
And the Polar Plunge now a year ago raised $99,500 with 281 plungers, which was record-setting for Lake of the Ozarks. And so a lot of questions about, man, this is going to be maybe the coldest plunge of all time. And we saw early Saturday morning a backhoe, right? A heavy machinery out there breaking up the ice on PB2 just so the plunge could take place. And at this point, I'm like, no, these people are absolutely crazy. And if the plunge itself, which, you know, is for Missouri Special Olympics, isn't crazy enough, you have what some are already familiar with, but super plungers.
Yeah.
Right?
That takes it to a whole new level. So these super plungers, they don't just run in the lake one time. They jump in usually 24 times in the 24 hours leading up to the...
Once per hour.
Yeah, once per hour. This year they did it 30 times because it's some special anniversary. So they did 30 plunges in 24 hours in this icy, crazy cold water. But they raised $142,000.
Just the super plungers.
Just the supers.
Raised over $40,000 more than the record setting before. And a few of those super plungers, you know, there is a plethora of them, but JT Gert and Zach Paul, they have the great media race every year, right? That big competition. Now, Zach has since left KRCG TV as the chief meteorologist, and he is now with Missouri Special Olympics.
Oh, wow.
So they keep this battle going, right? And it was close. We'll give you results. And then here locally, we know of Chris Wagner with Farmers Insurance and Chief Todd Davis with the Osage Beach Police Department. They are always big in raising funds, and so 18 total super plungers raised, as you said, $142,000. If you're wondering of that media competition between JT and Zach, JT has won the last couple of years, and it was close this year. JT raised $32,000, whereas Zach Paul raised $31,700.
Wow.
So JT wins again, but narrowly. Also, some impressive totals. Chris Wagner, record setting for him, $17,000 he raised, and Chief Todd Davis just shy of $10,000. Pretty impressive. Just those four individuals right there, you know, raised nearly $90,000.
Incredible, man. And they earned it jumping in that icy water. You know, and I think I've talked to both Chris Wagner and JT Gert about doing this. And, you know, do you get sick after you do this, jumping in the cold water and getting out and getting back in? And I think they've both told me the worst part about it is leading up, you know, thinking about what's coming and the tricks your mind plays on you and stuff like that. Man, good job, guys. That's amazing. You guys keep doing that.
Yeah, no doubt. I saw those guys and talked with Chris Wagner after the final plunge took place, and I asked him, at this point in time, you're good, right? And he said, yeah, that, you know, the hard part is that very first one, the day before, when you first start, you know, those 24 hours leading in, it's early. He goes, it's freezing cold. He goes, and this year especially cold. He goes, but after that first one, he was ready to go because it kind of shocks your system.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple other things. I talked with Crystal Schuster, who's the executive director, and total's still coming in, right? Money's still funneling in, but right now, $225,500 raised. Water temp, for those of you curious, 34 degrees.
Wow.
And if you saw, I'd never seen this before, you had your safety dive and rescue team.
Yeah.
You know, they're sitting on the ice where it wasn't broken up, and we actually saw up close and personal that ice was about 4 to 5 inches thick.
Wow.
And you can see here, some of those guys, those dive team that were in the water for safety reasons, you know, just to make sure everything went off without a hiccup, they were moving. Look how big some of those, like, essentially icebergs are. They're breaking up and trying to get out of the way. And then one other cool thing, I always love going out. I ran out after the expo, right, for a little bit. And want to give a shout out to the Pink Ponies. Saw one of my great friends from high school, Tanner Dean, along with Carla Lint, Allie Lint, Tanner's wife, Sydney, and their daughter, Jay Lee, Beth Kempker, Tony Scrivener, and Dawson Bird with the Pink Ponies. They were in full regalia, you see, there, and they jumped in. It's always cool seeing how many people come back, you know, for this big event.
Yeah.
And it's getting bigger. Last year, 100 grand raised. This year, double record setting, $225+ thousand. Pretty impressive. You want to get in just for...
No, not going to happen. You know, I hadn't thought about it though, but you're right. Those, the divers, they put on the wetsuits and stuff like that to go try to move the ice out of the way. I hadn't thought about it, but that's pretty important. You know, you don't want people running in and, getting hurt on ice chunks that are out there.
Not just that, but when people jump in, and some people have their liquid confidence, or a little warm getting in there. Some people aren't exposed to the freezing cold. Your body can go into shock, which could cause you to not be able to move. And so, they've always had dive and rescue, but this year their responsibilities were a little heftier.
And you were telling me before the show you are like training to do this next year.
No, I've done this before.
Have you really?
Yeah, I did this a few years ago, and it was one-time wonder. Like one time was good enough, and now you can just write a check and cover it and be happy to support and help and bring the results. Also give a shout out to our friend Jason Whittle's team, All Pro Jason Whittle. Their whole crew was out there.
Amazing.
Troy Meyer was just back from vacation, all tan, just like you, in flip-flops, running in there. And I think he's now sick because of, doing the plunge. So